everybody, it's me Tracy, and I'm here again with another week of Kids book reviews. And this week's book comes from Minneapolis, Minnesota by a wonderful author named Lehman, and it's illustrated by his cousin Joshua Wallace. He's been very kind and sent me 3 of the 8 books that he has published, and these are really cool. So the story behind these, all of the books are called Papa Lemon and the Little Wanderers. So it's a story of Papa Lemon, who is actually his actual grandpa and his grandma Sarah, who are the inspirations behind this. And the Little Wanderers are essentially a group of little kids who, you know, they look up to the grandpa, and the Little Wanderers are always very curious about life and about different pieces of history. So Papa Lemon happens to have a magical train, which you see here on the cover, and he is allowing the kids to go back in time, so they get to learn all these fun different things about history and about the past. So in this specific one, they go back in time and they get to witness the great Dr. Martin Luther King and his I Have a Dream speech, and the kids go back and they get to meet him and they get to see what times were like back then. And the illustrations are really cute, and you really get to see the characters and what's going on. And I just think that it makes it entertaining for the kid to, you know, envision these kids going back in time and on this magic train, all the while teaching a lesson about history and different things that they might not have otherwise held on to mentally or really got into if they were taught in class. So these are the authors here, or author and illustrator there at the bottom. And you'll also note that at the end of the books, I just love the fact that they have these little notes at the end that say, I hope you enjoyed this adventure. Maybe go and ask your grandparents about an adventure that they had on their own, or an adventure about their childhood, or get to know your elders, is the gist of it. So that was the first book he sent me. And the second book he sent me was about the California Gold Rush. So again, the Little Wanderers, they learn about the gold rush, and they learn about different things in history, and the one kid brings into class for show and tell a pick. So it's a, you know, mining pick that was used by his family or his great-granddad. So they take it to Papa Lemon, and he says, why don't you guys go back in time and check out the California Gold Rush? So they do, and you know, here you see them going back, and here's the magic train that they get on, and then they go back in time, and it's just really exciting. And you see the kids, they get to see how clean the water is back then. And so you know, when the kids come back to present day and they have their gold that they've picked up from back then, they make a vow to clean up the environment, because they said, you know, back then the streams were so clear and crystal clear, and how could we have ruined the water in such a short amount of time? So it kind of gives kids this idea that if you do come across riches and you have gold, that you shouldn't, you know, squander the money away, and you should put it towards good things like cleaning up the environment or opening up an orphanage, which is what this guy did with his fortune. And the illustrations are really cute in all of these books. And, you know, and then they go back and they tell Papa Lemon all about how they got gold and all the good things that they're going to be doing for the world. So again, at the end, there's another note that says, I hope you enjoyed this book. You know, why don't you go ask your grandparents about their lives and about something from their history that you might not have otherwise known, because kids really get so caught up these days in video games and other things going on in their lives that they don't really think to ask their grandparents about their lives and history and things of the family. So yeah, that was a great book. And then the third one he sent me is about the very first open heart surgery, which was another tale that these kids get to go back in time and see. And in the beginning, their teacher has a heart attack, and so they're all upset about their teacher. She had a heart attack, and they go and tell Papa Lemon, and he said, you know, the first open heart surgery was actually performed by an African-American man. And they said, well, why isn't that in the history books? And that's a good question. So they, again, get on the magic train, and they go back in time, and they get to actually meet the very first doctor who performed open heart surgery, and they get to witness it firsthand. And the one kid faints. You can see him fainting here in the background. So the one kid faints, and they get to learn all these different fun things, and then again they go back and they tell Papa Lemon and Grandma Sarah all about their adventures, and they just say, look at all the stuff we've learned, and now I want to be a doctor, and they're so inspired, and they just want to again help the world and spread awareness about heart disease and all these different things that kids should be learning about in school. So this book again was really, really nice, and I really liked the illustrations. I like the story. I like that all of his books incorporate history lessons in them. And again, at the end, you have this little note to the reader to, just note to self, go ask your grandparents about their lives. And also, this story was inspired by the teacher in this story who did have a heart attack, and this is her, and she's the actual teacher in the story. So kudos to him, and I am going to be posting a link to his work on my website, which is www.kidsbookbookclub.com, and there's going to be a link to his work and all the other books that he's written, and I'll be back again next week with another book review. Thanks for joining me. Bye!